Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Beer and Real Estate. This week we're going to continue our conversation on marketing. This week's episode is sponsored by Liberty Brewery and High Point.
Yep, and as you in previous episodes, we've kind of again talked about marketing and want to kind of continue that as Ryan said. So, Ryan, I just want to kind of start off with, in your eyes, how do you think marketing has changed going into 2019 from what we've seen the past couple of years? As far as marketing, videos, and what I guess focusing on real estate in particular.
Okay, what I've seen is a change in quality of photos first. Back in the day, even as recently as two or 3 years ago, agents were running in with their iPhones and their Androids and getting crazy shots with their cell phones and uploading them to MLS, and it was fine. It was fine for a while. It worked good. It was got people through, and it was actually wild to hear when somebody was paying for a photographer. It was like what price range is this house in? Why would they pay somebody to come out and take a picture of it?
Yep. And like I said, you say a couple of years ago, it still seems sometimes today, honestly, because I've come across many photos where you see like the bathroom picture with the selfies, whatever it is, taking a photo. But why do you think that's important? With marketing, I know why, but I want to kind of ask you as far as kind of leading into it. Marketing is so very important in real estate today. To help because of what's your reason? Why do you think?
Well, one, I think that as realtors, as real estate agents, we have to use what is given to us. We have to use what's available to us if we're doing our duties to our clients. If this is available and if this is a trend, we have to jump onto that.
Yeah.
Also, with the market where it is, and you have to stand out. And so there's things that we do that we're experts at that we can do on our own. Yeah. And there's things we're not experts at. And in photography, some realtors may be, but the majority of us aren't truly experts at photography. And if we're going to put a product out there to get and try to get the highest dollar for that product, we need to give the best presentation of that product up front.
Exactly. And I guess too, kind of leading into that is the world we are in today as far as the internet goes. What is it? Majority of buyers initially found their house online, where, like you mentioned a couple of years ago, photography and videos and things like that maybe weren't as important because you didn't have the folks searching for the house on Facebook, on Google, or whatever it is. You didn't have that as much, right. So in my eyes, I think that's just as important. If anything, what going forward is we're going to see even more marketing kind of come into play as far as finding everything online, finding a house, scrolling through pictures. I think it makes a huge difference of having quality photos, good video or videos as well. And like I said in the past, you may not needed that.
Yeah, and let's talk about videography. That's the second thing. That's something that you're seeing, and it's funny because on those cheesy real estate shows on your TLCs and everything of your $1 million listings, you us as realtors, or I should say me as a realtor, maybe you love it, but me as a realtor, I see that it's like, oh, this is so terrible. It's like, this is not
it's
real
so
life.
real though.
It's so real. And but what I was seeing years ago was these high dollar video. I remember I never watched it myself, but I remember walking in on somebody watching it, and a realtor let somebody perform a music video in a house to promote it. It's like High-Loft, whatever condo, promote it. And I remember thinking, that's videography on that's cool. It's an interesting concept, but and then now it's like you see video everywhere. You see videos of neighborhoods highlighting subdivisions of the house. Drone. I've seen you do them. It's incredible. Seeing how that's come around, and that honestly, let's just say 4 years ago. In this market, and I'm marketing a lot of markets around us, you just didn't. That wasn't a thing at that time.
No, but like you said, it's kind of the narrative has changed of why are you doing that to now it's why aren't you doing that? So it's just like if you're not doing it, you're kind of I don't want to say kind of an afterthought in a lot of ways, but you're probably definitely losing ground on other agents because clients and consumers are looking for that, because they're seeing everybody else doing it. They like it. They're getting enjoyable through TV, like you said, HGTV, which secretly I do think that's one of your favorite TV shows. But no, I agree with you on that. I definitely think the narrative has changed from a couple of years ago to now, as far as like you said, you were kind of questioning it back then, but now you're like, I've got to do it. It's got to be done.
Mm-hmm. You're right. I mean, in a world where we all know, we don't set our, there's no standard commission, but we know that in your market there is usually a number that you see. Okay,
Right.
and these agents aren't charging extra for this.
Yeah.
So who are they going to pick? Somebody comes in and say, well, I can get this for this cost, or I can get this for this cost.
Exactly.
You're going to come in and you need to offer everything that's available to them.
Exactly. And it's like you said earlier, it's all about the product. And our product in the real estate world are the houses. That is our product. So how can we highlight that product as much as possible? And like you said, for pretty much the same cost of everybody else.
Exactly.
So, and the other week, of course, on a previous episode, we had on Christy Gildenay.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, she had a very unique marketing campaign done on one of her listings.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, if kind of recapping on that, she did some very risque photography and things like that to help promote one of her listings. But some people say it worked. Some people questioned it. But at the same time, deep down, the objective was to, how can I get this house exposed to as many buyers as possible?
Yeah.
So
and she did.
Yes, she did. Exactly. I mean, she went National News, Fox News, Inside Edition.
She was on Beer and Real Estate.
Beer and Real Estate. Exactly. She was, she was on news stations across seas. I mean, so it worked. People question it, but at the same time, like, my biggest takeaway from something like that is, like we were just talking about, as far as a couple of years ago versus now. I mean, who are we to say that 5 years from now, something like that, like, you got to really think outside the box to, maybe she's ahead of the curve. Or just, to an extent, but, I mean,
I'm looking for fitness models right now to
so contact Ryan if you know anybody. But no, like I said, so really thinking outside of the box really helps, because I don't think you can stop at professional photography, videography, and just stop there, because basically you're still in today's world on an even scale with other agents. So you still got to think of ways to, what creative ways can I do the videos? Like you mentioned a couple of years ago, you had some folks, music video. And now you look at, Tim Smith out in California, one of the, nation's best realtors.
Mm-hmm.
He created, that's his thing now. Everybody expects that. So when he goes, and again, he's doing these worldwide famous videos and listing videos, but again, it's getting national attraction, and these houses are multi-million-dollar houses, and they're selling a lot quicker. So his business is elevated tremendously in the past couple of years because of thinking outside the box
and being a marketer. At the end of the day, being a marketer.
Exactly.
So, I mean, as realtors, we still have our fiduciary duties. Mm-hmm. We still have our ethics. But the world sees us as marketers, truly marketers. It's our job to come up with ideas, come up with ways to make their home stand out from the sea of homes that are on the market, and doing that, bring them the best price for what their product is.
Right. Yeah. So basically, not getting away from, but stepping back a little bit from straight print ads and straight things like that, to adding in what we've talked about with videos and social media and Facebook and YouTube and all these different avenues that we can go towards,
right,
to kind of help market a house with it.
And I don't truly believe that that anything truly does. Okay, it's an interesting concept. Like you talk about print ad and stuff. I don't believe it truly does. I believe that as marketers, that whenever everybody stops using it and they're moving in a different direction, if you could step in and find a way to use it that is so out of the box, using our new age ideas, and put it back in there, that you could take over that aspect of it.
Yeah, well, and I won't argue with that. By all means, that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm not saying like completely taking it away. I was just saying, as far as, is it going to be a forefront as far as your marketing campaign goes?
Sure,
it can be, of course, if you use it correctly. I agree with that. But I guess I look at, deep down costs and things like that, return, for your clients, as far as what's
and it does tend to be extremely expensive compared to what else is available. Exactly. What you could do with that marketing money.
Yeah, but even going into kind of what we just touched about with social media, what do you think impact that has really changed on the real estate industry?
Oh, it's a huge impact. I mean, for good and bad. I mean, go to social media now. I mean, if you're going to be a player in the market at all, you have to have social media. and it's just like Spider-Man. With great power comes great responsibility.
Yeah.
You're putting out these ads and you're representing your client, and
You gotta watch yourself.
Yeah, you got to watch yourself, because you go in and all of a sudden, you have a crazy night with one of your friends. You're like, wow, I'm glad nobody else will ever know about that. Tomorrow, everybody else knows about that when
Correct.
the cameras are running.
Correct.
And it's on your Facebook, and your brand, what you've created through social media, could be affected.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. And unfortunately, we see it.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to be very mindful of that.
You do.
Staying on top of the social media, what do you think about as far as going back into the marketing aspect? Beyond just the personal brand watching ourselves, but a couple of years ago, would you ever thought that one of your biggest ways to get a listing out for your clients would be through Facebook?
We all grow as realtors, and it's like you try stuff in the past. And have you ever done something you thought would be amazing? You look back and you're like, "What a goof!"
No,
of course not. Of course not. But it's funny. As 2012, 2013, I started creating my own Facebook pages for my listings. And people thought it was, they were like, they thought it was cheesy, whatever, but it worked. I mean, I sold some stuff, like as soon as I created that page and started just adding my friends to it and sharing it, and they started sharing it, I started getting comments on these pages, and people were coming up, and and that was the only way to really, you do social as far as putting pictures out of your houses and stuff, but once I did that, it was a way I kind of went to the side. If you look at some old business cards, it's on there. It's changed completely with sponsored advertisements.
Yeah.
That's another thing. You talk about us being marketers and being experts in the business. You have to stay on top of all the changes with Facebook, all their algorithm changes, even stuff on the news as far as with the current events on why Facebook is having to change the ways they do things. You have to stay on top of that, so you can know how to target a market, so you know how to get your property out to the highest number of people that it matches.
Exactly. Yeah, because I do. I think it's one thing to say, speaking to a consumer, speaking to a client, hey, I'll put your house on social media and I'll market it for you. I don't think people realize how in depth the marketing concept you got to know. You got to know how to do that. So that's where it's kind of what we said before. Is now we're becoming not just agents. Now we're becoming professional marketers in a way too, because now we got to know how to do this stuff. We got to know how to create all this material to make sure that it's actually showing up in front of people. So get on their phones, get on their TV or computer screens and things like that.
Yeah,
if you're not marketing it correctly, nobody's going to see it.
Exactly.
You can't just post it and it show up.
You almost have to be an IT person at the same time, learning all the changes. You go in there. I promise you, if you started at the beginning of, let's just say the end of, we're in 2019 now. So if you started at the beginning of 2018 and you learned, okay, I went in here, I did these classes on Facebook, I've done my research, I've learned how to do this marketing, and you came in the last couple of months of 2018 and you haven't done anything since, you have no clue what's changed. It's a different world.
Yeah. Like you said, the back end is completely...
I have agents come to me and talk to me about it, like, what happened? I don't even know how to do this anymore. And it's just it's just crazy how fast things change.
Yeah. And it's one of the things, too, and I always catch myself when I'm speaking to, potential clients and things, because you can really overwhelm somebody, So, and again, you're kind of creating that fine line, because nowadays I do think everybody's saying, hey, I'll market your house online. But to me, I think there's so much more to that. It's not just, again, not marketing it, but at the same time, what we're talking about, there's so much behind the scenes that actually goes on, but I don't think the everyday consumer really understands that. They just think that, well, every agent's posting my house online right now.
Right.
Well, yes, but to actually get it, for people to see it, there's a lot more to it.
Yeah, and agents have their cheat sheets that they can come in and they can say, oh yeah, I'm posting it to 32 different websites, and it blows the average consumer's mind, like, oh wow.
Yeah.
And they don't understand how the internet sweeps and the IDX agreements that we have, and then all an agent's doing is putting it into our MLS. The MLS is granted access, and all of a sudden you're on Zillow, Trulia, Homes.com, Realtor.com, Matovo, whatever. It's on all these different websites. That's just one. They've done nothing except put an MLS at that point.
With the sign yard, that's all you got to do.
Yeah, easy. So
sign yard, put on MLS, done. It's going to sell. So kind of, let's go back in a little bit more, or I'd like to kind of discuss a little bit more video. We talk about Facebook. Facebook, Instagram, we can kind of touch on that. It's kind of the same platform, but even it's changed a lot over the last year as far as the capabilities you can do on there with, videos and and even ads on there as well, since Facebook has now took over, Instagram.
Yeah.
What about YouTube?
Oh, and it's crazy. And YouTube's been around for so long, and it's wild. You see these kids that, I know you've seen these kids driving, high-priced foreign cars and whatever, and you're like, how did that kid get that money?
Star.
Yeah, and he's a YouTube star. And it's like, so that marketing star, you see this happening, and it's funny, like, that's why you have to think ahead of the curve. You see this happening, like, man, I wish I had that talent. I'd be, making stupid videos and having stuff all day long or whatever. But then all of a sudden, as it starts coming around, you start seeing realtors do it. And it's like, wait a minute. And I know I've seen realtors getting YouTube checks from YouTube.
Correct. Yeah.
Because they have so many subscribers, so many followers.
Yeah.
And what better way to market a listing? I mean, it's crazy.
If you got that many people following.
Yeah.
Exactly. And, and again, kind of staying on the same topic, what are we putting on YouTube? What type of videos do you see? What kind of intrigues you about YouTube and videos that, again, you think that's changed from the last, 1 to 2 years up to the next couple of years?
Honestly, I've always gone to YouTube for when we started, let's be real, it was music videos, and it was videos of cats playing pianos. It was like, that's awesome.
Still is.
A little bit, I know, but but then you start going in. And I remember watching YouTube. Anything I needed to do it yourself jobs, I went to YouTube.
Yeah.
And and I've done major mechanical jobs that probably turned out okay, but they worked there through YouTube. And so. Then all of a sudden, real estate coaching is on YouTube. Real estate shows are on YouTube. You have Vanderchuck. You can go on there and watch this, and it's like his visibility raised so much from YouTube.
Vlogs the last year.
You're in real estate. Like all these different channels are just blowing up on YouTube.
Big time.
And so it's stopped becoming entertainment. It's still entertainment, and it's still there for that. But all of a sudden, it became a resource to grow yourself individually, personally, or your business. And then also, again, visibility for selling products, because you're seeing social media marketers on there in your advertisements and everything, and putting together something crazy. What's the guy's name? He did The Wolf of Wall Street. I can't think of him right now. He did The Wolf of Wall Street.
I know you're talking about. Yeah.
His shock value. It's just like, holy crap. Yeah.
And it's kind of, again, what we... what kind of brings to mind is all this stuff, even YouTube, speaking about that, the changes even on that is like us as real estate agents, if we're not keeping up with all this stuff, are we really doing our job as agents for our consumers listing the house? So even on YouTube, so I look at YouTube and say, what am I doing to expose the house? Of course, we can do the videos on Facebook, we can do the videos on Instagram, but it's also more of like, you got to know the market in a way. Where I think,
100%.
Maybe not 5 years ago, but maybe 10 years ago in the past beyond that, I guess you thought of the local expert was knowing the numbers, how many listings are up, but which is still the case, but now it's just like, what's going on in the community? Are you highlighting that? So like highlighting the local stores, like we talked about on YouTube is, what I look for today is, I try to do a lot of community local videos. And the reason behind that is, if I'm marketing a listing, again, I'm thinking about, am I reaching every potential buyer for this house to help sell it for my clients? So it's more than just posting videos and them wanting a 4-bed, 3-bath, with a garage. They maybe also want to live close to the local, pub or the local, library or whatever it is, or park. So if I can kind of tie all that in together into one video, what better way to kind of exactly show, well, here's the house. In the past, you couldn't do that, but now, like I'm able to put a house on the market on a video, market it, and show that what's within that a mile or two of this house that kind of brings the entertainment factor in, schools and things like that. We can
and I think everybody think, well, I'll ask you this: you want to take your wife out somewhere really nice to dinner? Okay, you're like, I want to try something different. I want to really step my game up and bring her somewhere nice that she's going to remember and brag on me to her girlfriends about. I'm going to go YouTube it. No, you're not going to do that, right? And so you're going to go to Google, you're going to go to Facebook and ask questions. So circling back around to social media, you take that YouTube video, you put it onto social media, you know how to perfectly market it to meet the area, the zip code, the age range, everything that you want to see there.
Correct.
They go to Facebook and they're Googling Cool Bar and High Point, and all of a sudden through the Facebook magic, it pops up on your Facebook page along with the Nikes you were looking for the day before.
Right.
And so all of a sudden that draws people into you. And then at that point they subscribe at you. They subscribe to you.
Yeah.
Subscribe to you. And now all of a sudden you're popping up on their phone every time that you post something. And they're going to it because they see, oh, he's an expert on my community. He brought me out to this cool place here. My wife loved it. What else is there in the neighborhood?
Or, I mean, kind of in the same subject is the listing that you're trying to sell. If you've got within that the local, a local shop that's very popular around town, where everybody's visiting that shop, we know through if you advertise it and set up your marketing correctly, not only do everybody visit that site, now they're going to, all of a sudden, that house that you're trying to get sold for your clients, now all of a sudden it's popping up, and they're not sure why. They might not even be looking for houses. But we know through the Facebook algorithm and everything, since they're looking at this shop, now this house is popping up. So it's just...
And what's that mean? What have you just proven then? To any seller that's coming up. And they've already seen you. They've seen you talking about this restaurant over here. They've seen you talking about this barber over here and all these different... They've seen you talking about, this bed and breakfast that you think that is incredible. And all of a sudden it's highlighting their community. You're a marketer. They know you as a marketer at that point. And you get that business. And then and once you've already put in place, other people that know you as marketers all of a sudden see their listing come up. And it's right in front of their face.
Yep. I agree. So, I mean... We've touched on a lot. So marketing, I know we're kind of around this concept of marketing, and we can kind of go so many different avenues. So over the past couple of years, we talked about things evolving from a couple of years ago, but tying it back into where we're heading in real estate, not just real estate, but marketing in general. We got a lot of new ways to kind of market a house now, or set ourselves apart from other agents. So, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Google, whatever you want to name it. It's kind of hard to kind of be in one place.
You're right. Yeah.
So that's the challenge, I guess. But what my biggest thing is, I always tell people is, people think, oh, you're a real estate agent. What do you do? It's just stuff like this that we could kind of go on for days on. It's like, it's not just a real estate agent.
It was last. Yeah, I mean that conversation, they glaze over and like, all right, you got it, get out. They told them everything.
But I mean, and again, viewpoints on this are different. There's sometimes you're good with it, but you think about, for sale by owners on houses. In the past, I do think it was a lot easier. But are you really doing yourself a favor of kind of marketing your house for sale?
The answer is no.
Okay. Just cut me off a little bit on that because that's what I was looking for. But I mean, you're not. That's what I'm saying. There's so much more to marketing a house.
That's right. I mean, you put it on Zillow, and everybody's like, "Well, I got Zillow. What else do I need?" But then all of a sudden, you have. I don't know, this is getting off of marketing, I'm sure, a little bit, but all of a sudden you have folks coming into your house that may not be pre-approved, may not have great intentions. But we won't go in that direction. That's going to be another episode of Beer and Real Estate. But but at the same time, it's like you open yourself up and you think that they think, that's all I need Zillow. But then they don't realize that all of a sudden they made $15,000.
Facebook Marketplace.
Yeah, and they made $15,000 less than they could have, or whatever the statistics are now. But I'm just saying that's what I've seen. I've seen people literally sell it, and I think, well, you really undersold that. And it's like, just because Bob from Facebook Marketplace comes up and says, I see you're asking this, I'll give you this for it. If you close right now, I'll give you cash. It's like, they see that, and the market is not huge on Facebook Market. It's big, don't get me wrong, but it's like, it's not qualified, it's not vetted, it's not people that are there solely for real estate. So you don't have the pool of buyers that you could create actually truly marketing, and you lose money. And so no, they cannot. And then you get into the whole, our job, let's go back to being realtors, our job to protect them, our job to know everything there is to know, making sure that everything that they've done, that they presented a truth and honest product. And there's nothing that could come back to them 3 months later that they had no clue could come back. I mean, we've all seen it. It's I didn't know I had to tell them that there was an oil tank underground. It was like, yeah, you did. Yeah, I mean, you had to. I mean, you didn't know that, but you should have used me.
Yeah. Well, this is one of me. We go through a class that's a book this long because of all the stuff that you do. But again, there's so many. I mean, we deal with it, unfortunately, weekly, if not. But many cases where you're just like, somebody could really get sued a lot of money for what you just told them.
A lot of money.
And it happens. A lot of people say, oh, that never happens. No, it happens daily.
All the time.
I mean, sellers are losing or getting sued for, all the time for stuff.
And they're losing money up front. I mean, right off the bat, you say, okay, well, I took they could have got 10% more than what they got.
Yeah.
Okay, then you come in, now they got sued for this here, and it's just like, there's a person there for that. Most of the time, you add your commission into it. it's going to equal out, and you're still going to do better than what you did as a for sale by owner.
Yeah.
And they're an expert, and so you take all your liability and you say, "Here, Brian, take that for me, and just get this place sold." You know.
Yep.
So,
well, like I said, I mean, it kind of and bring it back to the marketing side of videos of what we can how we can separate that house. I mean, I look at it, to be honest with you. There's, I don't want to come across the wrong way, but I guarantee you, Bob down the street, looking to sell his house by himself, I guarantee you he's not going to draw the traction that I can. I mean, in one listing of the marketing that will get, tens of thousands of people seeing this house.
right.
Versus you putting it up on Marketplace and, 15, 20 local people seeing it. Like,
Yeah,
the odds
exactly
are,
right.
exactly. But it's knowing all the things we've talked about because
Mm-hmm.
we're in this daily. We're doing this and this is, again, that's where I think real estate is changing because, you didn't used to have to know this. Now, like I said, now we're studying, or not studying, but, always constantly keeping up with ways to market.
But studying is a good word, though. We are studying. We're studying the market. We're studying what's there and how we can do it better. Once we learn it, and it's like, okay, what can I do that somebody else is not doing?
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden that becomes a trend, and that's how marketing evolves. Yeah.
Okay, so really, I want to kind of just end with, I won't say just one question or statement. You can kind of put it, but in 2019,
Okay.
2018, 2017, we've seen a lot of changes like we talked about.
Mm-hmm.
Going into 2019 and forward on that, you're a seller, you're a consumer in the local market. You're looking to kind of list your house and put it on the market.
Yeah.
In your eyes, beyond all the everyday things that we know that real estate agents need to be, how important? I know it's going to be up there, but like, what's one of the biggest things you look for, or you would look for, in hiring an agent to help sell your house?
Okay, and so 2019 and beyond.
Yeah,
Definitely holograms. Holograms at the houses. No. What I'm looking for 2019 and beyond is, one, I don't want to hear, I want to see. I want to see what you have to offer. I want to see what you're doing different. I want to see your videos. I want to see your pictures. I want to see what sets Brian Colquitt apart from Joe Smo over here.
Yeah.
I want to see what Brian's doing that I can't do, that I don't know how to do.
correct.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, like I said, I mean that's kind of where I focus a lot of my energy and focus is on social media and YouTube and videos, and like we talked about, thinking outside the box, becoming marketers. So I think we've kind of covered a lot of great points today.
I think we have.
I think we could go on for days and days, but future episodes we can kind of maybe dig back in a little bit deeper into kind of some of the particularly Facebook ads or things like that, and kind of teach the audience more in depth what we're talking about, because I don't want to confuse people. But
Yeah.
I think we covered a lot today. So
We did.
hopefully for you guys out there, you can kind of pick up some of the things where we are 2019 going forward, like we talk about. If you're one of those people looking to sell your house, there's so much more than just putting it on the market.
Yeah.
I think we can definitely come to that conclusion. It's more than just signing the paper, splitting the sign in the yard, putting it on your local MLS, and thinking the house is going to get sold. The odds are, it happens, yes, but the odds are very slim that it's going to happen. So I think, looking at some of the strategies that we talked about, and, we have it on the back end too, is like we literally have a marketing strategy campaign
Yeah.
that gets put in place,
Yes.
like from every listing from point A to point B, we know what's happening as far as week 1, this happens, week 2, this happens. So like, you've got to have that stuff in place. So make sure you're definitely asking the right questions to your agents. Make sure, even as agents, if you need any guidance on that, please feel free to reach out to us. That's one thing, like I said, I think we definitely pride ourselves in, is we love to kind of dig in, and we're very excited to become.
Yeah. We love real estate.
Real estate, exactly. Yeah, and beer.
Yeah, yeah. So if you want to have a beer with us and talk, let's do it. I would love it.
So thank you guys again for tuning in. I hope you guys kind of subscribe on the button below for future episodes. Still, again, reach out to us, stay involved, and if you have any questions or any future things you'd like us to kind of talk about, you can always leave a comment on that below as well. Or maybe kind of talk about your question or comment in a future episode. All right, guys, thanks for tuning in for another episode of Beer and Real Estate.
If you like what you saw, hit the like button. If you want to see more, subscribe. Cheers.